everyone. This is Dorcas Chandler at dorcasgazelle.com. Hey, I'm back with you again. I was wanting to be back earlier than what I am now, but I just been tracking some things in my life, and I told you on the last recording that I was going to be talking about fear. Oh my goodness. And so when I was researching, and I know there's a lot more that I need to do, but the parts that I was researching about fear, I was wondering, well, do I have fear? Or is it because there are certain things Dorcas does not want to do? And so I dealt with that because my mom would always say, Dorcas, anything you don't want to do, you just make it hard. I've heard that pretty much all my life. If there's something that I don't want to do, I have in the past, I'm working on me, made it hard. But here's the thing. So just dealing with fear and what has happened to me in the last years of when I started really becoming fearful about things. How did I get there? Where did it come from? How can I get rid of it? How can I handle it? How can I be better? Because fear is an emotion, and we do need fear for certain things. If there's danger, there's certain emotions that will generate fear, and some fear is a normal behavior. We're not supposed to be walking around, somebody got a gun on you, and you're just saying, oh, okay. But there's some fears that are normal. But here's the thing with Dorcas. What I've learned with my disability. See, when I didn't have problems with, getting around and the things that I'm dealing with now, I don't think I had time for fear. I know it was there, but I wasn't always worried about things because I always tried to either work them out or I knew that they were going to work out. But I want to talk today about excessive worry. And that has been a part of my life since my disability and since I moved to Arizona. And most of my fear is related to medical situations. And the reason why, and I'm just going to tell you the reason why, is because I moved here to Arizona in 2005, and I have had so many ups and downs with medical procedures and medical doctors, and just feeling afraid and gaining weight and wondering how they look at me and how they view me. Just excessive weight changes, and seeing the change in my body and seeing the change in my mind and seeing the change in my physical ailment. So I want to talk today about what happened to me. See, and I gotta say this. Last week I said someone had coined the statement, fear, false evidence appearing real. And I used to really deal with that and talk to people when I counsel, whatever. And I would say, fear is false evidence appearing real. But then when I looked at the situation, I don't think it's always false evidence, because some fear that has happened to us have been real things in our life that has caused us to have an emotion or a mindset that we are afraid. And so what happened to me very quickly is when I came here, I had these nodules on my lungs and on my somewhere the thyroid or whatever. So anyway, I was sent out to this place. And my sister went in with me at first. And at that time, I had very little feeling in my legs. And so when my sister went in with me, I had to get up on this table. And the technician. I don't know what you call these people that be in these rooms, but I'll call her a technician. And so I was struggling and struggling, and my sister was sitting there, and she had her purse in her lap. And so here's the technician, and I'm struggling to try to pull my legs, my lifeless legs, up on this table without falling. And the lady just stood there and watched me struggle. My sister put down her purse and she said, "Dorcas, I'll help you." And so she came over there and she pulled my legs up to put them on the table. And so that was fine. But then I realized I had to go back to that same facility. And I remembered how they treated me. And we're talking about false evidence appearing real. And so what happened was, when I had to go back, I felt anxiety. Are these people not going to help me again? So anyway, when I went in, before I went in, I said, "Can my sister go in with me?" And they told me no. Okay, am I going to see somebody different? That was just in my mind. But when I went back in, it was the same room and the same lady. And she said, "Miss Chandler, you're going to have to get up on the table." Now, this was a different table, and it was higher. So what happened is, she's standing over there looking at me again, and I'm struggling and I'm struggling and I'm struggling, trying to get the leg up, trying to lift my legs. I tried and tried, and I didn't even know if I was going to knock over the table because I was pulling like crazy. That lady never moved. She saw my struggle, but she never ever moved to assist me. I mean, I struggled and struggled and struggled. Finally, I got the good leg up on the table. Now I'm trying to pull the left side, because the left side of me is where I have problem. I'm trying to pull the left leg up on the table, and I finally scuffle and get it up on the table. Then she tells me, after I get up on the table, "Miss Chandler, you need to sit up." Oh my goodness. So then now I need to turn my body in a position that I need to sit up. God granted me favor. I said, "God, you got to help me." And I sat up. And then she said, "Miss Chandler, after all the struggle, Miss Chandler, you don't have to have this test." I said, "What? You don't have to have this test." You see, sometimes doctors send people to us that they don't really need the test. "Your nodules are not big enough for this test, but I can do it." I said, "Well, do I need it?" "No, you don't need it. I'm telling you, you don't need this test." Now, I done struggled and struggled and struggled, and you couldn't have told me that when I was sitting in the wheelchair? Really? And I said, "Well, if I don't need the test, I don't want to do it." I didn't want to do it for two reasons. I didn't want to do it because I seen the way she treated me. And I didn't want to do it if I didn't have to do it. And so she said, "Okay, you can get down." Bam! Now I got to get down from where I got up to. So I'm struggling and struggling and struggling to get down on legs that really were not, I didn't have the feeling in them like I do now. I got down, I got in the wheelchair, I went out there and I told Velma and them what happened. And then I said, and then the lady tells me, got the nerve to tell me, "You don't have to do the test," when she could have told me that before I got up on that table. But she didn't. I promised God I will never get up on another table in Arizona. They didn't treat me like that at Kaiser, California. The people here, and I was telling Velma, the medical professions here, to me, have a different code of ethics. This has been stored in my mind by that first encounter here in Arizona. So what has happened is, every time I go to a doctor or every time I go to a medical facility, now hear me, because I'm trying to go somewhere. I'm not trying to put the people on blast, because I would never tell you their name and who they were. But what has happened is, A fear came inside of me that even if I had to go to the emergency room, will they help me? Hear what I'm saying? So I've carried around this thing, the Dorcas, you're disabled and you're fat, and I own who I am. I'm not skinny. I own that. But I am a person that have worked, and I don't deserve some of the things that have happened to me in Arizona. But I just walk on and I just ask God to help me and to forgive these people. But I'm trying to tell you about excessive fear. Sometimes there has something that has happened in our lives that will cause a negative response due to something that has happened or transpired in our life. And I'm telling you, getting up on the table, you can forget it. That's the way my thinking was. But when I began to look at fear, you can't let past failures and things that have trapped you or tried to trap you. Because see what fear does, it wants to trap you in your mind. Fear is a negative controlling mechanism in our mind if it's not controlled right. And so in my mind, nobody ain't get me up on no table. That's what I always said. So what happened was, because I'm dealing with fear, I was supposed to take a test last year. And I went online, I took the prescription from my doctor, and I went online and I wanted to know, is a table, hear what I'm saying, involved with what I got to do? Now I know a mammogram isn't, that was one of them, but the other tests I never took. And I looked online and there was a table and I'm involved with what I needed to do. I said, these people can forget it. I am not getting up on another table. What happened was, when I began to deal with God about my own spirit, about my own personality, about my own way of processing things, I just felt like, you need to go take this test. Wow, God, I don't want to go. You seen the way the people did me, but you need to push against what you feel, because you don't know, just because that experience happened to you, that somebody else is going to treat the same way. I said, well, if people knew who I was, I'm Dorcas Chandler, they wouldn't treat me like that. It does not matter who we are. So, push against it, Dorcas. Just push against it. Just try. Wow, God. So, and I want you to call somebody different that has taken you to the doctor. Why? Because this is what I want you to start doing. I want you to be clear with what you need. Be clear with what I need. See, you had a situation, but you was not clear with what you need. That lady stood and watched you struggle, but you should have said, ma'am, I got a back injury, and I'm going to need help getting up on this table. And if she could not have provided that for me, then it was my position and my place, knowing my physical condition, to say, well, if you can't help me, then I can't do the test. Plain and simple. I created that scenario in my life because I was not speaking up and she was not helping me. So because she was not helping me, I allowed, a negative emotion to be triggered in my mind, and then I set parameters. Y'all ain't doing this to me no more. Ain't nobody doing this to me no more. I don't care who I am and who you are, it ain't happening. So I make this appointment. It's got a table involved. I got to get up on this table. And I call another friend and I asked her, would you take me to the doctor? I need to go and get some tests done. And she told me, sure, Dorcas, I'll take you. And she said, when? What time? I said, I need to call him. I didn't tell her what I was doing. I didn't tell her what I was pushing against. She told me she could, just let her know. I called, I made the appointment. In my mind, I'm like, God, just go ahead and do it, Dorcas. I made the appointment. I called my friend back. I told her, and she said, okay, that's fine. I can take you. So then when I got off the phone, a couple of days before I was scheduled to go, it was like I was praying. I was like, God, I don't know. I don't know if I can get up on that table. I don't know. It's not the table. The first thing I need you to do is be clear with the person that's taking you. You got to start speaking and not assuming that people know what you need, even though they're looking at your struggle. So I call my friend back that's going to take me to the doctor. This is a different person. And I said, are you feeling okay to take me to I told you I was going to take you to the doctor. I said, okay, here's some things that I need to let you know about me. Because she'd never taken me to the doctor before. And God said, be clear. And I said, first of all, I can't stand for long lengths of time without my back really bothering me. So I'm going to need you to stand in line and register me. She said, okay. I said, and because I am a new patient at this facility, I probably will have some paperwork. Okay. And because I got a really bad handwriting, I'm going to probably need you to write for me, and then I sign it so they can read it. Laughed. Okay. And if you could help me through the registration process, I will appreciate it. Okay. When we got there, she stood in line. There were people in line. I sat down. She got up there. She registered me. They gave her some paperwork and told her I had to fill out this paperwork. She immediately came back and started writing. And after she started writing and asking me questions and checking them and doing this and that and the other, and then after she got through writing the 3 pages, then she said, okay, you need to sign. So when I signed, she's like, oh my goodness, your writing is like chicken scratch. I said, hey, look, just take the stuff up there. And we just laughed about it rather. And so when she went up there, I said, I should have gave her my insurance card, a credit card, and a form of ID. So, but I didn't give it to her right then, and I hated that I had her to leave without giving her what the proper information that she needed. So when she got up there, the man said, we're going to need this, that, and the other, the 3 things that I told you. This man automatically stands up, because we're kind of like in the back of the office because people were already in there. He stands up and he says, ma'am, I'll go give that to her if you want me to. I said, thank you. The man got up and took it to her because I wasn't trying to add more work to my friend. It was just that this is what I needed. So I had asked them earlier, I said, is it possible that I could get a wheelchair? And they said, yeah, when I called in. So anyway, I was feeling pretty good that morning. So I said, I think I can walk. And I told my friend, I said, come and go with me. And so she said, I said, come on, girl. And so she got up and so she went with me. We went through the doors and we walked down this hall. It's not a long hall, but then you're walking down another hall and there is a slant. And I'm like, oh my Lord. So anyway, I'm holding on to my walker, and then the slant is pulling me, and so then I'm holding on to the rail, and my friend says this to me. She said, I'm right behind you. I'm not going to let you fall. And I said, okay. And I kept walking. And then after we got through that hurdle, then we had to turn down another hall, and I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus. And so anyway, we get to the dressing room. I undress, and then I have to go into this room to take this test. So, but I didn't feel no anxiety. The thing that I felt was when she told me, I'm not going to let you fall, Dorcas. That just solidified and caused me to be calm and let me know God is not going to let you fall off of these tables, but be clear. So when I went in to take the DEXA scan or whatever you call that jive, I was able to get up on the table by myself. And I could see, I said, wow, God, and it's not a really high table like the other table was, but the man was right there to help me if I needed help, and I could do it. And it was just me and him in the room. And then after that, I laid down, and he said, are you able to bring your legs up? And I said, yeah. And so I was able to sit there and see, wow, Dorcas, you have come a long ways. This is from doing sit-ups in the bed. The man did whatever he did. I don't know the outcome of the test. I don't know. But what I do know, when he finished, he said, okay, I'm finished. And he had took his hand to help me, and I had turned my body, and I was able to get up and sit up on the side. He said, I want you to sit here for a minute. And so I sat there for a minute, and then he was very cordial. He said, I need you to sit outside because they're going to call you for a mammogram. And so we sat outside, and so the table was no problem. But I already had in my mind to say, sir, I'm going to need help getting up on this table. But because I was able to get up on the table, and the table was a little bit high, but I could manage it because now I have strength in my legs. So I was able to push my legs up and get up on there. Now it's time to go for a mammogram. And I done did all that walking and coming down that slope. And now my back is beginning to a little bit hurt me. And so I get in the mammogram, and I tell my friend again, come and go with me. And so we get in there, but the technician says, I can handle this. And in other words, she didn't want nobody in the room with me. So I told my friend, it's okay, we'll be okay. And so she turned and she walked out. So the technician told me, she said, Miss Chandler, you're going to have to stand up to take this test. And I said, ma'am, I can't stand up. And she said, but you're going to have to stand up in order for me to get this mammogram done. And I said, ma'am, I have a back problem, and there's no way I'm going to be able to stand up to do this test. I said, so if we can't do it, it's fine. And she looked at me and she said, okay, I'm going to put a table. Not a table. I'm going to put a chair here and let's try it. I said, thank you very much. She put the chair there. She was able to do the mammogram with me sitting down. What am I saying? I was clear. I was not standing up knowing that I'm getting ready to fall. And so what happened was, I seen that if your delivery, if you're wondering why people don't know your situation. So the lady was very cordial. And when she finished, she said, aren't you glad that you haven't given up? I said, hey, yeah. He said, aren't you glad? She said, aren't you glad? And I said, yeah, I am. And I said, plus I got great teachers. And she just started laughing. And I said, thank you so much. And she said, no, you're the one who did the work. And then she told me, she said, Miss Chandler, do you need me to help you get dressed? I said, oh, no. I said, I can get dressed. I said, but thank you very much. I said, and plus my friend is out there and I'm good. And so she said, okay. That was the easiest appointment. I've been here since 2005. We're in 2019. That was the easiest appointment that I have ever experienced when it comes down to having a test. Why? Because I was clear with what I needed. And so what I've seen, sometimes I've been here in my house, I don't see why people don't see that I need help. Why do they have to? If you know you need help, You're the one that need to be clear in your delivery. How many times have we looked at people, now it's a we thing, and we're asking them or expecting them to do something that they don't have a clue what we're going through. And I looked at my life. People haven't had a clue. And that's why my friends, when they hear, Dorcas, you haven't been so you could do what? We didn't even know it. And I got the greatest friends in the world, in the family too. My sister Velma. But if people don't know what you need, I sent out a thing. You know, I'm getting ready to be 65 September the 8th. And I told my friends, I sent them out an email. And I said, hey, I want you to come and eat dinner with me. It's going to be catered. I want it really nice. And it's going to be here at my apartment. They were like, well, you need a big. I don't want it nowhere big. I want it to be private and intimate and the friends that have loved me. And I want us to just come and laugh and have a good time. And I need a hug. You know what? My friends are like, they don't even know what I've been through. Because you know why? When I'm talking to them on the phone, I never really share and be clear with what I need. What am I saying about fear? Sometimes we're having excessive worry and concerns and unwanted thoughts just because we will not open our mouth and say what we need. And I'm not saying this is the end of fear, but because there's a lot of elements to fear. But this is just one of the fears that really bothers me is medical situations. If I never had to go to a doctor, I never would. But I thank God that I realize that I will be under a doctor for the rest of my life. I just need them. But at the same time now, it's going to be different because if I need something, I need to be clear with what I need. There's been times I've lived here and I said, you know, I need help. I need help. I don't know why I can't get help. I done worked and I don't know why I can't get help. Why can't somebody come in here and help me? I haven't been clear. And so because I haven't been clear, it causes excessive worry. And I'm sitting thinking why you can't do this and why you can't do that. Hey, they don't even know to do it. Can you be like that? Sometimes we got things going on. And we just need to drop our pride and say, and I don't even know if it's pride. I think sometimes it's just a learned behavior. You ain't had to have nobody help you. See, when you come into another realm of physical ailments or situations, it's difficult asking for help when you haven't needed help. My father was the very one that was dying of the cancer, and he gave us that man gave us trouble because he was never used to let nobody do nothing for him and never asked him for help. He was always the one that helped. And I see that same thing in me. That happened with my mother too after my father died. She didn't know how to ask for help. How can you ask for help when you've been the help? And that's where I want to talk and teach us that understand that we have to realize that just because we've been the help don't mean that our situations will not change and we need the help. I appreciate when people help me, and I try to let them know. But now I understand, Dorcas, you have not been clear. And because you have not been clear, it is unfair to label people because you have not been clear. Hey, I hope this have helped someone. Whatever you're going through, it could be your marriage, it could be your children, it could be your church. I don't know what it is, the synagogue. I don't know. Your parish. But if something is bothering you and you have excessive worry, just see if it's something that you can settle just by being clear with what's going on with you. This has been Dorcas Chandler at dorcasgazelle.com. Hey, I love you, and until next time, you be blessed. Bye-bye.